dimension. Now, all of a sudden, you've got all this march, or this women's march, which is all supposed to be about women, international women's, or about women. And so I put this post up, and there was a lot of answers, pros and cons. And the thing is, it's good to get a diverse set of answers, because that's what's called a debate. Yet there was this one woman who then decided to take herself out of that thread, open up a new thread on my page, and just tagged all the people who disagreed with me. Therefore, she was just looking for a biased answer. So I wrote I replied back, covering all this, and within the hour, she actually explaining to her what she'd done. All the people who she tagged actually came back to me and says, actually, we don't approve of this. And all of a sudden, within the hour, or within 2 hours, I think it was, she'd actually taken the post down. Because the thing is, and that's what people do, they argue against something that doesn't that other people disagree with, or for example, if the wrong person gets voted in, they'll just go out and protest. And as I said, all the problems, or I've seen all the problems. You talk about the far right. Now, I'm not a fan of the far right, and I probably despise them as much as the average person does. Yet the people who have actually caused all this hate and crime out there are not them. If you look at the facts and figures, it's all the people who have actually been on the liberal side of things, the social justice warriors. So, and they're using a platform like social media to do it. So Twitter will take down conservative politicians or sort of conservative views and clean out people's accounts, whereas other things are still acceptable. So they've actually got to make a rule. Is it one rule for everyone, or are they actually controlling what we're saying? So are we being manipulated? Actually, let me ask you a question. Are we being manipulated by society? I mean, I think we always have been, but is it happening more now?
You mean is social media manipulating?
Yes.
Of course it is, and we just explained that it can influence elections, and that's exactly what Trump did. He opened a headquarters up and filled it full of Google and Facebook executives and researchers. He employed them and put them in his buildings to win the election, and of course we are, because what we hear is what we believe, and what's repeated is what we do tend to believe. Whether or not it's nonsense, we will believe it, and it's how humans are how we function.
So,
and all this is a side effect of the executives making money. That's because any large company is treated. Do you know large companies? Well, any company actually is treated like a human being. They almost have the rights of human beings, but any company has ultimate responsibility to its balance sheet. So companies function as psychopaths. So they don't care of the damage they do. Their pure function, their own moral code is the balance sheet, and therefore all these peripheral effects are side effects. For instance, another thing that social media is doing is causing women to increase their self-harm. So we covered this before, but there's been a 20% increase in self-harm year on year.
Is that because of social media?
Because of social media, and what happens is,
really, actually, I'm not sure. I can't confirm that data.
No, it's true. And
okay.
The thinking is about this is that women are interpersonally very aggressive. So men are physically aggressive, but we're not interpersonally aggressive. And what that means is socially stabbing people in the back and bad-mouthing them. That's what women do. And
some women do. I mean, actually,
on the whole, we're talking as groups.
Well, actually, it's interesting you say that, because I knew you wanted to cover The Apprentice that was running in the UK, right. and we've got the final next week, which is between a guy and a lady. But watching The Apprentice and how the women behaved with each other was vicious. And I think we've covered this before. It was vicious how they dealt with each other.
And there's no logic, is it? There's no logic. I mean, you'll when one of them was being questioned, she burst into tears and tried to make the person feel sorry for her. So it couldn't really be taken any further. But you're right, and that's why women don't end up running the world, because there will be instant nuclear war.
Well, it's interesting. There was one thing during the interviews during the Apprentice. There's this one interviewer. Her name was Linda Platt, I believe. She's I think interior designer, stroke fashionista, stroke. I've probably had too much plastic surgery. With a very bad tan.
Don't forget, this is all about TV and ratings.
I don't know. Yeah, she was horrible. But I didn't like, and I know I've been critical of her because I just don't like her. And I don't like her because the thing is, as an interviewer, I found her appalling because she never let the other person speak. She said, "Oh yeah, I grilled them." You can't grill someone if you're constantly attacking them. How are you ever going to find out the information from them? And she never did get the information from them. She just says, "You haven't done this, you haven't done this, you haven't done this."
That's just for TV. I'm sure that wouldn't happen in reality.
Of course it's just for TV, but I dare say she didn't do herself any favours for me. Yet the media recording.
For instance, I was going to a company and they interviewed me like that. I'd instantly say, you know what, you can keep your job.
It was dreadful. I found it dreadful. You talk about interaction. There was no interaction there. I was surprised. But anyway,
but I did like what's his name, Michael Suter, and the way he does the interviews, because at least he does his little bits of research.
Little bits of research. The guy does phenomenal amounts of research. Well, most people will go down probably about maybe 1, 2, 3 layers at most. This guy's down about 30 layers.
Well, at least his research team does. But I think I forget the name of the contestant, but the red-haired one from Manchester. She ended up having 11 companies that she didn't even know how many she had. And he turns to her and he says, "So are you a serial entrepreneur?" And she looks at him and says, "I'm sorry, what does serial entrepreneur mean?" And you have to think to yourself, what?
Well, I don't think she was a serial entrepreneur because she's not in multi-level marketing.
Well, indeed.
Unless that was in one of the folders.
But having said that, though, she is a serial entrepreneur. She's not a very bright one, because that's what entrepreneurs do. They try, fail until they succeed. And that's exactly why Trump shouldn't be president, because whereas you can go bankrupt several times and start up a new company, you can't start World War III and then have a new world to deal with afterwards when you try again. So he's an extremely dangerous person. The only good thing about him, he's a doer, but he's not a diplomat. And a very poorly advised man indeed.
Well, what I've always said about diplomacy. I think diplomacy is just another word for deception. It's just telling people what they want to hear rather than actually telling people the truth. And one thing you can say about the likes of Trump is that he tells people
But he does
right or wrong. He tells people how he sees it.
Diplomacy does have a place if you know how to use it, because it's all about saying the right thing at the right time to achieve what you want. And he is being very poorly advised because, as I said, you can't irritate, because if you irritate people, you, by the mirror effect, you cause them to become more of what they are.
I don't think he's poorly advised. I just think he's narcissistic enough to actually listen to them, actually.
Well, you know what he is? The other thing that he has, and a lot of people are saying it, is because he seems not to concentrate on stuff and to forget stuff, and they're saying the guy's got dementia. So first of all, anybody who diagnoses him should be struck off whatever medical register they're on, because you can't. Until you interview someone personally on a one-to-one basis and you get a proper history, you can't make any diagnoses. But you can say, as I say, he is highly likely to have attention deficit disorder, especially after an article I read this week about the fact that he drinks about 10 Coca-Colas a day.
God, you wanted to slip that one, didn't you?
In my own clinical experience, there's a large number of ADHD people who self-medicate with Coca-Cola because it has caffeine in it. And the way you treat ADHD is with stimulant. You treat it with Ritalin.
Oh, the thing is, if you actually Ritalin, if you actually, you might as well just go and buy speed off the guy, the guy on the street corner.
So you can't say, I haven't interviewed him, so I can't say he has it. But I am highly suspicious that he does.
But you got someone like Warren Buffett who drinks about 10 cans of cherry cola a day as well, which has got caffeine. Part of this is stay awake. I remember, I think every university student has had caffeine as their best friend at one point or another.
At one point, but not consistently. That's the point.
Really? I mean, think about it. I mean, you got all these traders in the cities, and there's supposed to be this coke epidemic.
Who says a lot of those don't have ADHD anyway?
It's not that they have ADHD. Sometimes it's just to stay awake.
1 in 20 people have ADHD. 1 in 20 people have ADHD. And yes, you're right. Some people do need to take stuff to stay awake. you're absolutely right about that.
You know, I remember when I had to do my dissertation at university, I was living on coffee and Pro Plus until 4 o'clock in the morning, having 2 hours
but
sleep.
he's not. But the thing is, but these people, ADHD people, don't take it to stay awake. They self-medicate because they find it helps them concentrate and keeps them calm and focused. That's why they take it.
Yeah, I've got to say, we need to do a whole podcast on ADHD, actually, because, in Theo's case, we talk about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, where I see things like 20%, or no, 1 in 20 people have ADHD. I think out of all the people in the gym, I think it's about 80% who have ADHD, isn't it?
It depends.
It depends. Is it because they get got ADHD? Is it because they go to the
going
gym?
to the gym raises your dopamine, which actually makes you calm and focused. So a higher proportion of people with the ADHD will tend to go to the gym. Yeah.
Because it does have an effect on you. But I just wanted to just come back onto the whole social media thing, because it does. I've never liked social media. I use it because I feel I have to, and because society has led me down that road now. But I think I was a far happier person, and I had a far more bigger social life when I actually had when I dealt with people. In fact, I think there was one of the things in the articles that you actually sent me. There was these little videos that you clicked on, and there was a thing about albeit in America, I think it was, that you have four. The average American has 4 close friends or something like that. And I probably don't think it's far off over here in the UK. We have very few close friends, yet all of a sudden my Facebook page has got something like 4,000 of my closest friends.
Complete nonsense.
People are constantly adding me on as friends who I don't even know. I mean, I do delete them.
It's a game. It's a game because you have this illusion of significance by having more friends.
Significance, isn't it, to actually have more friends? Yet, and we look at that. Actually, we look at that for.
But it's just a goal.
Isn't it?
You think you need it because we live our life by what we think we need, but very rarely doing what we actually want.
Well, here's another word for you: social proof. You see, for things like having all these friends on Facebook and things like that, gives us social proof that we are likable. It's interesting. I had a guy in the gym this morning. He says to me, he's one of the trainers of the gym, and he came up to me, and he always comes up to me even in the middle of training, which really peeved me off today because I'd already been running late, and I had to do supersetting to actually get my workout in. But he actually said to me, "Why do so many people actually talk to you?" And I said, "Because I attract them." And although I say that with a little bit of joking, the reason is because I make myself approachable. It can be irritating in the gym when that happens, but you attract attention from people who actually find you likable, and they find you likable because you're approachable, you're engaging, and things like this. So he asked me, he goes, "Oh, do you think people respect me in the gym?" And I said, "Well, actually," I said, and he's a personal trainer for this matter, and I'd probably say the hardcore trainers won't respect you in the gym because when they see you with your hands in my pocket. He said to me, "Oh yeah, but that's just habit." And I said, "Well, it may be habit, but the thing is, it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. It's what the marketplace sees, and if the marketplace responds to what it sees and what it believes."
Look, he's got a pot belly and he slouches, so nobody's going to take him serious as a trainer.
That's steady. But the thing is, he's a likable guy. He's socially engaging, and he's a great guy if you want to go out for a drink.
Not always. He hasn't
found his passion. I've always found him. He's always engaged with me. But the problem is that there's people you want to do business with, and there's people you're happy to go for a drink with, but you're not prepared to do both. You see, there's when we talk about people do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. Yeah,
well, he hasn't taken.
Do you trust him to actually get you?
He hasn't taken the trouble to find out what people really expect of him.
I'm going to have to leave that one there because I know he does listen to this, and I don't want to feel as though I'm putting him down because I'm not. And because I do like him, I just don't think, and I have said this to him, I don't think he's found what's his flow.
I think you're right. He is likable, and which makes it all the greater shame that he clearly is not having a meaningful interaction and sense of achievement with his work.
Yeah, because he's unfulfilled. I mean, for him, this is a stepping stone. This is a job. He's got other things he probably wants to do. He does